Hi everyone, my name is Marie Chang, and today I will be drawing Beth Harmon from Netflix's The Queen's Gambit into a scene from The Simpsons. Now, if you've watched either shows, you'll know that Beth is a chess prodigy and grandmaster, and so is Homer from The Simpsons.
An excellent move by Homer.
So I thought it'd be fun to do a little crossover that nobody asked for and just see how it turns out. The first step that I always start with is just research. I just pull every photo that I can find that might be relevant and might be useful as I design the character. For step 2, I'll be doing the rough design. Whenever I'm starting to learn a new art style, I like to just really roughly trace existing character designs and try to get a sense of the volume and the forms and the way that they proportion out their characters. And likewise, I found a pose of Beth that I think pretty much sums her up for most of the show, and I knew I wanted her character to be standing with her arms crossed. So just trying to get a sense of what that looks like and what that feels like before I move into my actual design. Using the references I've collected, I'm just going to very roughly sketch in her face and her head proportions. I like the eyes that are more almond shape just to match the character in the actual show, and I'm going to put in her pose without accounting for her outfit yet, just to make sure that she's standing in a balanced way and to make sure that her actual form is what I want it to look like. Now that I have her designed in her pose, I'm going to go through and add the cloth and kind of just rough in what I think her outfit is going to look like. I'm going to reference that green dress because I think it'll look really nice. So yeah, I'm just going to continue doing that. Once I have the rough design finished, I'll, keep it pretty rough, and then I will begin the next step, which is doing a rough line art around this design. I usually start doing line art with the eyes. It's not honestly the best way to do it, but it's the way that I'm used to doing it. There's a lot of different approaches to this, so honestly just do whatever works for you. I still keep this line relatively on the looser end because it's not my final product, but I just want to, fill out those details and try some shapes out. You may notice that I've roughed in eyebrows, and I kept going back and forth on eyebrows because the Simpsons characters, most of them famously do not have eyebrows. But she looked so weird without them that eventually I ended up just putting on some eyebrows and, making her look a little bit more, in my opinion, more like the actual character from Queen's Gambit. So now that I'm done with that rough line art, I'm just going to invert my drawing and take a look at any spots that seem really weird to me or that look, misproportioned in this view. A lot of times I'll just spot little problem areas and be able to fix them up by inverting that image. Now I'm going to start with the clean line art. And for this process, I like to, if I'm drawing digitally, I'll change my pen to like an 80-90% smoothing if it was on 50% before. If you're doing this on paper, that doesn't really matter. Either way, I try to do each line in one continuous motion instead of doing a bunch of little ones. It just tends to get me a smoother, better looking line. Again, there's lots of different ways to do this, but this is the process that's worked well for me. And sometimes I'll do my clean line art, not necessarily connecting the line previously, so I'll just start on a spot that I think I'm confident with and then work my way from there. I chose this outfit because I thought it was really cute, but looking at this more closely, I don't think I would actually choose this if I had to animate the character. There are so many different pieces of it. That bow would be so much work to animate, and all of these little like floating items would just be a hassle. Luckily, I don't have to animate this, so I get to just enjoy that she's wearing this cute outfit I like. As I was finishing up the clean line art, I realized that her legs looked a little unbalanced and wonky to me, and I had been staring at this drawing for so long I didn't catch it, so I decided to make some adjustments, and now I'm much happier with the way her legs are positioned. She looks a lot more stable to me, and always feel free to go back and make changes after you've finished one phase. Now that I'm happy with the clean line art, I can go ahead and start coloring. I referenced the existing Simpsons characters to get this yellow shade, and then I made her dress a little more saturated than what I would have color picked off of the image, just because I wanted to look like what that true color would present as in a scene, and I just think it looks a little better and a little cleaner. And then I just copied the existing patterns of her bow and all of those little details. For her hair color, I tried a couple different shades and just compared them to each other. I ended up settling on this one because I think it worked well with the existing color palette, but again, it's just trial and error and see what looks good to you. Now that I'm done with the color, I think we have a pretty finished version of Beth Harmon drawn in the art style of The Simpsons. Now that I have the finished design, I can draw Beth into a scene from the show. Even though this game is between Grandpa and Homer, I think that Beth would possibly come to observe one of what would be her rivals in the future, so I'm going to draw her into this scene staring at Homer. I originally planned to do this more in the center, but it was really messing up the negative space between the two of them, and granted, that's just what I get for drawing on top of these existing scenes that weren't composed to include this third character, but hopefully by doing it this way, I can still maintain her silhouette, and the other two characters without obstructing, what else is going on in this scene. Right now, I've adjusted the angle just for drawing her face because I'm still struggling to get the proportions and the different shapes right, and sometimes matching that kind of angle helps me fix some of my drawing issues. So now I'm just gonna go back to the scene where she is leaning over and observing her potential rival. I'm not gonna lie, I also like this pose because it means I don't really have to draw her hands, which saves me personally a lot of time. I think hands and feet are, two of the hardest parts of the body to draw, and when I was in school, they would always drill it into us to practice and practice, but when I can get away with not drawing them, I might take that opportunity. So now I am just taking that original design and making it larger so it matches the kind of the same proportion of the image I'm trying to draw in frame. Sometimes I just want to make sure that the eyes are like the right width and that things look like the original character that I actually designed previously. So this is just part of my process to ensure that consistency. Here I'm inverting the drawing again while I draw the bow just to give it, a different kind of perspective when I'm looking at it from this way, and to make sure that all the other existing rough lines that I've done work even if I invert the image. At this point, I'm actually pretty happy with my line art, and instead of going back through and drawing another layer of rough line art, I'm just going to erase away at what I already have and see if I can make this a worthy blueprint for my final line art. So at this point, I'm pretty happy with the way the line art looks, and I feel ready to go and do my final clean lines. Whenever I'm drawing a character into an existing still, I always try to pick a line width that best matches that of the characters and the props already in the scene. It just helps my character look and blend into the scene much better. So that's what I'm doing now, and I'm just gonna go through over all of those rough lines and do my hopefully nice clean lines that will make it look like it could be in the show. Now I am done with my clean line art and I can move on to the next step. I'm going to do this step right now, but what I'm going to do is just color through the entire form of Beth. And the reason why I do this is because later on it'll help me match all of the colors on her design to the lighting around her. So that's why I kind of take that step and do it at the very beginning, but you can do it at the end. And now I'm just doing the same thing I did for the character design. I literally just picked the same exact colors and fill them in accordingly. Once I have all the flat color finished, I will take that layer that I drew before and put it over using the multiply layer, I guess. But I'll use that and then just experiment with different options and different colors until I think that her entire character looks like it could fit the scene. As you can see, compared to the other drawing, this one is a little less saturated, so I'm glad that I did that. I think it looks a lot more cohesive. And yeah, this is Beth in a scene from The Simpsons. Thanks so much again for watching, and let me know in the comments what other kinds of crossovers you would like to see in the future.